Welcome to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. If you're new to the channel, it would probably be helpful if you would watch the introduction video. I will link it in the description box. This is a continuation of the project that we did this Saturday, and it is a little more advanced version. Most of our patterns, or at least the ones released on Saturdays, are all kid-friendly, and they've been tested on kids as young as 10. As long as an adult is around to supervise, they should be able to sew those. I intentionally make them very simple to sew. But on Wednesdays, I try to release a video that is relevant to that same project with some little more advanced techniques for people who want to be challenged a little more. You can buy the pattern for $3 in my Etsy shop, or there's also a kit available for $15. The patterns are $3 by themselves. The kit includes the pattern instructions, all the fabric, and in this case, it's also going to include the lining and pocket fabric, and it's going to include the items that go into the coloring bag. So this is something similar to this is what we are making today. I have decided not to use the scissors anymore because they want to fall out. They don't stay in good. And so I'm getting rid of the scissors and making a little more room for a notepad in mine. And otherwise it has a pencil and 8 crayons, and those will come with the kit, and a notepad will also. So it's time to get started. You are going to have to reference the video that made this from time to time, because I'm not going to repeat all the instructions just for the sake of time, but I'm going to instruct you on the things that we are doing differently, or the add-ons. Okay, for this project, we're going to need the same denim fabric or any sort of heavy cotton fabric that we used in the first bag. And the dimensions that you cut the denim are 30 by 24. And the straps are 3 by 20. And you can make the straps either out of your lining fabric or your denim. In this case, I'm going to use the denim. Then we're also going to need a piece that is 27 by 24. It's going to be 3 inches shorter than the denim because this is going to be our lining. And we also need a piece that is 12 by 10, and I've been saying 24 width. That's wrong. It's 12 width on both of these. I'm sorry about that. We also fold them in half like this and cut out a 1-inch square on each of them. This is all in the first video if you want a little more detailed on it. And then our straps we will make just like we did the first time. We will fold 1/4 inch over on both sides. And once we've done that, we will fold them together and stitch 1/8 inch on each side. For more detailed instructions on that, you can also watch the first video. So what we're going to start with is our pocket. We want to make sure that we've cut it out 12 this way and 10 this way. If you can tell, this fabric goes up and down. I mean, it can go this way or this way, but you don't want it sideways. So make sure when you have a directional print that you cut it out the right way. What we're going to do to begin with is just sew a tube. We're going to fold this over and pin it. Sorry about that pin cushion flying. And I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam. And I'm using a size 11 Oregon needle, some neutral thread. You probably would want to use navy blue thread on a denim bag, but this is so that you can see my seams better. Okay, let's go over to the ironing table now. Now we're going to turn our tube inside out. And then we're going to iron it with that seam down the middle, like this. That way it's going to be on our back side and we won't see the seam. Of course, my iron turned off, but we'll get it here. Okay, our next step is to take our denim bag and we want to measure 5 inches. I'm going to take my Nancy Ziemann seam gauge and I'm going to measure 5 inches down. Do it like this, and I'm going to start it in the middle so we can line our pocket up right across the edge. Before I pin it, let me check and make sure it's on there straight. And no, it wasn't quite, so. Okay. Now, depending on what you want to put in your pockets, you can make this one big pocket, you can divide it into 2, but I'm going to set it up like we did for the coloring, the crayons for the coloring bag. And there will be a template included in my pattern, or you can make your own. The crayons take almost an inch. Not quite, because if you put a full inch, you're not going to have much room left for anything else. But it's about 7/8 of an inch for each of them. So we can line the template up. And I think I'll use this blue chalk. I'm going to mark all the places I'm going to want to seam. And I'm also going to mark them at the bottom. Well, first, yeah, I'm going to do that. That's right. And on the first one, I'm going to draw it all the way down, because this is where I'm going to put my notepad. And so I want a big, deep pocket for that. And down here, I'm going to draw this one all the way down, because I'm going to put my pen in there, or pencil, a mechanical pencil, and it needs a lot of depth. Now your crayons, you don't want, they'll sink all the way down. You won't be able to get them out if you make your pocket that deep. So I'll fold my template here. And this is about 3 inches down. We're going to make a seam right across there to stop our crayons from sinking all the way to the bottom. Now I'm going to draw the rest of these lines, but I'm going to stop at this blue line for the crayons. I'm using the mark at the bottom though to help me line it up straight. I'm just not drawing all the way to the bottom. Okay, now we're going to take it over to the sewing machine. We're going to sew on all these blue lines, plus we're going to tack it across here, and we're going to sew it to the fabric across the bottom. But you want to leave the top open. So let's go over to the sewing machine for that. The first thing I'm going to do is sew around the edges and the bottom. And I'm going to sew just real close to the edge. Doesn't have to be even 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to pivot by lifting my presser foot, leaving the needle in the fabric, and I'm going to sew across the bottom. Once again, I'm going to pivot and go up the side. Now then, I'm going to stitch on all these blue lines. Okay, I'm going to sew the rest of these, and then I'll meet you back over at the ironing table. Okay, I'm back at the cutting table. I have sewn my bag together as per the instructions in the first video. I have ironed under my 1/4 inch seam and then the other 1/2 inch so that it all turns in. I've marked my center and both sides 2 inches apart on both sides. I've sewn my straps just like in the other video, and they're ready to go. Then I sewed the lining exactly like I sewed this bag, only I have done nothing with the hem because we're not going to need to. I want to leave it wrong side out. So now we're going to place our lining inside our bag. Then once I get it all straightened up in there. We're going to start at a side seam. We're going to open up our hem, and where we made, can you see our fold line for where we made our 1-inch hem? We're going to line this up with that fold line, or slightly below it. Then we're going to turn this over and pin it through all layers so that as we go along, our bag stays up there at the fold line, our lining does. And when we stitch our hem, then it's going to catch that lining inside there. I'm going to jump over here to the other side seam just to make sure everything's lined up perfectly. And then make sure everything lays smoothly in between. It doesn't look very smooth because my lining's kind of bunching up. Let me get it laying in there better. Take that pin out for just a minute so we can get this all nice and smooth. Okay, can you see how that is done? And our lining goes up under here and stops right before this fold line. So when we come back and stitch on this, it's going to secure that lining into place. Let's do the other side. And now we want to pin our straps on just like we did in the other video. We want this little part that's real bulky to be below our hem, just kind of setting there. And we want it, I don't know if you can see my chalk mark there, it's kind of light, but we want to center it right on that chalk mark. And I'm going to pin that one. I'm going to pin it from this side. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change all these pins to this side because this is the side I'm going to be... No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Sorry about that. We'll leave them on this side because we are going to be sewing from this side. It's when we do the X's we sew from the other side. Okay, making sure our handle is not twisted. And letting the bulky part, let's see, there's my chalk line. Take this pin out and just use it. Center my chalk line. The bulky part is sticking out beneath the hem so we don't have to sew over it again. That's the only purpose for that. Now flip it to the other side and we're going to do the same thing, making sure we don't twist our straps. So this one is going to go right here. I'm lining it up on my chalk line again, leaving the bulky part sticking below. And this one is going, I can't hardly see my chalk line, but I can tell by the front. Okay, now when we go to the machine, and we sew across all the way around, we're going to catch our lining and our handles, our straps, all at the same time. So I'm going to go over there and sew that seam, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I'm back from the sewing machine. And we've stitched our lining, we've stitched everything in place. But as you can see now, we have a nice lined bag. You can also add a pocket before you put it in and all sorts of things. But we're not going to cover that in this video. Now I'm going to just steam press right here across the top. I finished it just like we finished in the other video, doing the little X's. Now then, it's time to fill our bag with goodies for the young child or whomever it's going to. I'm going to put a coloring book in mine. I've got some Crayola crayons. I just noticed these aren't the primary 8 colors. There's some strange colors there, but hopefully my child will like that. I've got a pen. I've got some scissors if you want them. I've got a little notepad. This one really needs to be a little longer, but that's all I had on hand. And put the pen. It's actually a pencil, a mechanical pencil. So they're all set to go and keep themselves busy at church, at the doctor's office, or wherever they need to be entertained. Thank you for joining me today on this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if so, please like and subscribe below. Next week, we're going to be making a prayer pillow, and the advanced video next week will also be a different way to make straps by using the tube method and turning them, just in case you prefer to do it that way. Okay, thank you for joining me, and remember, whatever you do, do it in the name of the Lord. Thank you. Goodbye.